Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining. As Ibrahim has said, my name is Valerie White, and I'm Executive Director of LISC New York City. LISC, we are a national nonprofit. We were created about 42 years ago, right in the South Bronx here in New York City. We have 39 offices across the country, affiliates, and the New York City office was the first and the flagship. As we like to say. We look forward to working with you all on this project. Our work stands on a platform of racial and economic equity. So we raise capital and we invest that capital into physical infrastructure, which includes commercial real estate among commercial quarters, community infrastructure, and of course, affordable housing. And we also raised money and capital and invested into a number of programs to help support racial and economic equity in the most marginalized, disinvested communities across New York City. Ibrahim, you could quickly go to the next slide. We do have a little bit of information about, on the slide after that, I guess, yes, about the work that we've done across the country over the last 42 years. And we see these things as an ecosystem. Investing in the community, in economic development, in physical structures, in community development, partnering with local nonprofits, business development organizations, mission-driven organizations, and faith-based organizations help build a strong community. And that is how we move forward and implement our goals and missions. So I want to just take a minute and acknowledge a few people before we move on. First of all, the New York Land Opportunity Program, Monica will give you some history, but it is an integral part of the work that we do at LISC New York City. And we are very excited that we are introducing this revamped program to you. I want to acknowledge and thank Trinity Wall Street, who is the major funder and who has been working with us on the New York Land Opportunity Program on NYLOP since its inception. Without Trinity Wall Street, we would not be able to offer this program to you. I also want to thank and acknowledge the LISC New York City team. The team comes together to ensure that we are executing and implementing on programs that help stand up that platform. And this is one that is very important to our overall mission. So I want to acknowledge the team and thank them. I also want to thank Monica Dean, who is going to be leading this program. And we'll talk to you a little bit later, shortly as soon as I'm done, about what we're looking for with NYLOP. And you'll hear also from Jimmy Miller from Sincere Consulting, who will be helping the recipients of the RFEI, those who are selected, move forward with the program. So I want to thank you all. I encourage everyone to listen, to participate, to partner with us and provide this vital resource of affordable housing to the most marginalized and vulnerable communities that we work with across New York City. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Monica and ask you to enjoy the program. Monica.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you for that. And thanks to you too, Ibrahima. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Monica Dean, the Director of Housing at LISC New York City. And again, we welcome you and we are excited to be able to share this information with you regarding our upcoming NYLOP program. And so as Valerie mentioned, affordable housing is definitely the cornerstone of LISC New York City's mission. We support affordable housing opportunities in a variety of different ways by providing direct financing, technical assistance, and we offer programs that build that ecosystem that Valerie talked about to support our housing and community development endeavors. And so again, we cannot do this work without the support and collaboration of our community partners, like the community development corporations, our mission-driven, and this particular case, faith-based organizations, by providing financing and technical assistance to support them to increase affordable housing in New York City. And so our goal again is to provide opportunities, for people of color to access jobs, build businesses, again, while expanding the supply of high quality affordable housing. And again, we offer training programs that support us in doing this work. And so LISC New York City's New York Land Opportunity Program began in 2018, where, we expanded our impact into these new communities and spaces, again, to work with our mission-driven organizations and our faith-based organizations who have land that they want to develop affordable housing on. And so today, during this webinar, you will hear a little bit more information about our process, this request for expression of interest for those organizations, again, those mission-driven organizations and the faith-based organizations who are in the process, or again, or have their organization owns land and can use NILOP as an opportunity to do some affordable housing work through this program. And so I am excited and happy to be working with our development consultant, Mr. Jimmy Miller, who is working with the LISC New York City team to lead this process. And you will hear a little bit more about the application, what we're looking for, and again, what we're hoping to accomplish at the completion of this process, which is that we will have units that will be developed from this New York Land Opportunity Program over the next couple of years. And so let me stop right here because I know we want to have time for questions, and again, to provide some more information about what we're looking for. And so I am hoping that all of you have your questions already, or as you're listening to us, you're writing down your questions. And again, at the completion, at the end of this program, if we didn't get to your questions, definitely email us. You have our contact information, and we will follow up with you and get back to you. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Jimmy Miller, who has decades of experience in development. Jimmy's actually worked with all the housing authorities in the tri-state over the past several decades, and he has a wealth of knowledge and information. And again, happy to be working with him on this program. And so, Jimmy, I am ready to turn it over to you to walk us through the RFEI and get to the reason why we're all here this afternoon.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Valerie. Monica let the cat out of the bag. She said decades of experience. She didn't have to emphasize that so loudly, but yeah, it's about 45 years. And let me just follow up on what Monica was saying. We know that many mission-driven organizations and faith-based organizations have land, unutilized property that they want to use to develop affordable housing. Data shows that across the country. But we know that many of these organizations lack either the expertise or the resources to meet that objective. So this program, in a nutshell, is designed to take those desires and wishes of the organizations and take these assets and help link them with the resources that are needed. So at the end of the day, we're able to produce much needed affordable housing in New York City. So that is emphasis behind the New York Land Opportunity Program that I'm just going to refer to going forward as NILOP. And then try not to repeat and regurgitate everything in the slide here, because as I said, you can read it yourself, but I'm just going to go briefly through some of the main goals. And objectives of this program. We mission-driven faith-based organizations that own property they want to develop with an affordable housing component. So the RFEI that was issued on April the 8th, from that process, we want to identify at least up to 10 organizations that we can help move to the second step in the process. And I will talk about those steps a little bit later in the webinar. So we are going to provide technical assistance to it up to 3 organizations as part of step 2 of the process. And then that hopefully will enable them to develop a concept plan and move toward selecting a master developer partner. So at the end of the process, at the end of the calendar year, we want to be in a position where we have at least one organization that is able to issue an RFP so that it can select a partner that can help it achieve these objectives of the NILOP program. And then we said, again, we're going to provide technical assistance in the area of legal assistance, underwriting assistance, looking at the value of your land in terms of appraisals. So we will provide that assistance to help you move forward in this, what we know is a very complicated and daunting process, but we'll be there every step of the way. Slide number 8, please. Again, the request for expression of interest, RFEI, was issued on April the 8th, and the responses are due by the 26th. As you can see, when we go through the application, I filled it out myself a couple of times. It is very simple, very straightforward, and does not require a lot of time and effort on your part to complete it. So we're happy to say that we made it as simple as possible. We have the minimum requirements that I'm going to focus on here before I go to the application itself. We need you to be incorporated as a nonprofit corporation, and we need you to own the land or have a long-term leasehold on the land. The land can be land or it can be a vacant, unutilized property. It needs to be suitable for housing. You need to have a track record of providing services to your community. Now, we didn't say you need to have a track record of obviously providing services to faith-based organizations, provide a wide range of services to their community, but they don't necessarily do develop housing. Could you go to the application, Ibrahima?
Yes, hold on here. Let's see if we're able to see the application.
Okay, this is the application. Again, it's very straightforward. And I'm going to go down to, again, the minimum requirement section, Ibrahima. So I just went over the minimum requirement, but it's, one can express them too much. Again, you need to be incorporated as a nonprofit corporation, have owned the property, and the property can be vacant land. It can be an unutilized property that can be suitable for obviously adaptation. You need to have a track record of providing services to your community. So those are 3 of the basic requirements. The selection criteria, scroll up a little bit for me, Ibrahima. Selection criteria. We're looking for organizations in this first step here who have the capacity to develop an affordable housing component. Capacity. We know you may not be an housing development expert. You may not have a long record of developing affordable housing, but we do need you to have staffing capacity, organizational capacity, the support of your executive decision-making body, and an ideal entity would have someone, a persons that could dedicate time to this process. Again, we are very interested in developing housing. We know how needed it is, and we have a timetable for doing that. So you do need organizational capacity to be able to carry out your role in this program. You need to have a demonstrated record of meaningful community engagement in past projects. Again, we know most of you already provide a wide range of community services to your community, so that should not be a problem. Alignment with the goals and objectives of the NYLOT program. We talked about those goals and objectives just a few seconds ago. We need you to understand what those goals are, and your organization's mission needs to be aligned with those goals. And then we need you again to have your goals and objectives aligned with the goals and objectives of your community as well, because obviously one of the things that's going to be important, as we all know, in developing housing in New York City, is getting the support of your local community. So those are some of the essential elements of being able to be selected as part of the first 10 organizations that we are looking for as a result of this request for expression of interest. So that is selection criteria. Information session, we're doing that now, so I think I can skip that part. The deadline we mentioned for submitting the application is April 26th, just a minute before midnight. So you have all day on the 26th to get this together. So we're looking forward to getting as many responses as possible to make this program a success. If you have questions, obviously at the end of this presentation, you'll be asking us questions. We'll hope to respond to those. If you have questions beyond that, you have the email address here, NYC Developers of Color at LISC.org, that you'll be able to submit your questions to. We'll respond to them in a timely and efficient manner. Scroll down to the applicant contact information. And this is information about your organization, contact information, email addresses. Scroll on down a little further. Keep going. All basic information, stop there. As Valerie mentioned earlier, LISC has, as part of its overall mission, promoting racial equality. So we're going to be looking for applications from organizations that support that objective. So you can see here that we've highlighted that and bolded for you, so you can look at that. We're asking for other information about your organization, the makeup of your organization, so we can assess if they're helping to meet that goal. So these questions here, you don't have to answer them. You can see we ask questions about your organization, but it says very clearly that if you prefer not to answer those questions, you do not have to. But those questions will help us get an understanding of exactly who you are and how well you can help LISC meet its goals. Scroll on down, please, Ibrahima. Keep going. These are the same type of questions. Again, you need to be a nonprofit organization. And here's something critical. I should make note of this, that we're going to need you to upload here your tax exempt determination letter, so we can validate that you are indeed a nonprofit. So you can hit that button there, upload your letter, and that would be great. So that's something you should make note of. We will need that. Scroll down, statement of interest, telling us why your organization and your missions and your capacity fits the objectives of this program. It's 500 words or less. I did complete it. You can probably do something very succinct in 250 words or less. But if you're wordy, like I am, you may need more words, but I did fill this out. And 500 words is more than enough to explain here. So, but again, so statement of interest, be succinct, address the points that are pointed out here. Again, about your mission, why your mission aligned with the mission of LISC and mission of this program, why you have support of your governing body. If you don't have support of your governing body, it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful in this program. And again, one more time, you will need community support. Scroll on down, please, Ibrahima. Experience developing or sponsoring development of housing. Again, I want to reiterate that you are not required to be an expert in this area. It's helpful if you someone else, but more essential that in your mission statement or in your bylaws, somewhere in your organization mission, you have it as one of your missions, either community development or economic development or housing, something that lets us know that this is something that you thought about. This is something that is again is part of what your organization is all about. So we need you to check that and be organized. Property information, again, we need you. We said one of the basic tenets of this NALOP is that you need to own the property. Not acquiring the property, not thinking about acquiring the property. You need to have ownership, a long-term lease of the property. Again, that's because we want at the end of the year have a project that we can move forward with and meet this goal of developing affordable housing. So we need to know that you own property. So that is a basic minimum requirement of the program. Move on up, please. Ibrahima. Resumes or bios, again, trying to make sure that you have the capacity in your organization that we can help you move this process forward. So we need the resumes or bios of your key principals that would be involved in this process. Up, please, Ibrahima. References. We're looking for 3 references that you will give us that obviously will support your organization capacity, your ability to do this, your prior work in your community. So we're looking for 3 references here that you will give us. Scroll on up. I think that may be it. And when you're all finished, all done, and feeling good about what you put in the application, you just hit the little submit button, and then we will be very happy. And again, we do want to, in that first step here, we do want to identify 10 organizations that we can move forward with. So, and so that is it in terms of the application. Next slide, I think is 9, Ibrahima. Okay, this is a timeline. The RF, I was actually issued on the 8th. We were early. Information meeting is today. The responses are due on the 26th of April. And then from that process, we're gonna select up to 10 organizations. And we're gonna invite those organizations to submit a formal application to us. And then we're gonna view those formal applications. And we're going to move on to step 2, which is providing the technical assistance to those organizations. And then at least 3 of them in that step. And then we're going to provide them with technical assistance and support to help those organizations move forward to the last step. In that last step, we hope to have at least 1 organization who we can assist with issuing RFP so that they can select a development partner so that they can move forward with developing the much needed and sorely needed affordable housing in New York City. So that is the timeline. Now, next slide, please. These are Q&As that I put together, but I think what we'll do for the sake of expediency and time, these are some of the questions I thought that are relevant. I can go through them real quickly. Is there a minimum number of units that an organization needs to develop? No. We're looking for up to 3 developers, or it could be 1 developer, any combination thereof. But our goal at the end of this process is to develop 128 units. They could be on 1 parcel, they could be multiple parcels. Again, but that's our overall objective. So there's not a minimum number of units that you need to develop, but we are looking, but we do have a goal in mind of 128 units. We talked about earlier, do you need to have ownership of the property at the time you're responding to the RFEI? Yes, you do. If my organization owns property with liens or encumbrances, are we eligible to respond to the RFEI? Yes, you are. But again, the idea of property would be free of liens and encumbrances that would prohibit you from doing a timely and costly development of your property. Any lien and encumbrances can probably be cured, but some of them obviously can take a long time, and some of them can be costly. So the ideal property would be as free of liens and encumbrances as possible. Can two organizations form a joint venture for the purpose of responding to the RFEI? My answer to that is yes. If you have another entity that you want to form a joint venture with, that is fine. You can get someone that your capacity and their capacity can make a good team. Next slide, please. The Q&As. Do you need to have prior housing experience? We've said no, but you do need to have something in your mission that points to the fact that this is something that you thought about, something that is consistent with your mission, and that you're fiscally sound. Does the property need to be zoned for multifamily housing? No, again, but the idea of property with a property that wherever you want to develop is consistent with the current zoning designation of your property. Again, we can always go through the ULURP process. As you know, it can be time consuming but so again, we have the idea of property, but one does not always find the idea. So we're leaving that open. We will be looking, one of the things we'll be looking at in the process is we will be looking at the zoning of your property and seeing how that fits with what you want to develop. Does the property need to be free and clear of environmental impediments? Again, no. But again, that idea of property would be as free and clear of environmental impediments as possible. Because again, any environmental impediment can be alleviated, but as you know, it can be costly and time consuming. And so again, we have the idea of property in mind. Next slide, please. I believe that is it. So I'll turn it back over to, I guess, Ibrahima.
Well, thank you, Jimmy and Monica and Valerie. So at this time, we're now turning it over to questions and answers. I think we've submitted, folks here have submitted their questions, so we'll begin reviewing it, and we'll have both Monica and Jimmy fielding through in terms of responding to these questions, okay? So first question we have here is, number one, we already partnered with a faith-based organization in New York City with a project in HPD land use project. Is it too late to apply for this program?
Monica, you want to take that or you want me to take it?
I mean, you can add to it, but no, you all should still apply after reviewing the application and getting more information as to where you are in the process. You know, we'll be able to make a determination. But no, I would encourage you to submit an application. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Jimmy.
No, other than the fact that we are looking for 10. So the more we get, the more we are able to meet that goal. Yes, so I would say yes.
Another eligibility question here. The United Methodist churches are incorporated under New York State religious corporation laws. However, these are not independently incorporated. Would they be eligible to apply?
I think Monica and I went over that the other day. I think it says religious organizations, I think basically are I think on their face would qualify. So I think the answer to that would be yes. I think that's what Monica and I discussed the other day. I think by their nature, they would be eligible.
Oh, yeah, I'm in agreement with that. And then, you know, if we need to follow up to get back, we will definitely do that.
And this is a question about location of potential properties. Can a property that's located in Peekskill, New York be eligible?
I knew someone would ask me that question, and I pondered it. Monica?
The answer is no. This
No.
is New York City.
City.
The properties have to be located in New York City, unfortunately. So Peekskill, New York, unfortunately, will be ineligible.
Good question.
I I can jump in here also to the individual that asked about the property in Peekskill, New York. If you have something, you can just send us a separate email. We have other programs where we invest in properties that are being built for housing. Unfortunately for this one, the funder is located in New York and their funder base is in New York. Nonetheless, we'd be happy to talk to you to see if we can assist you. So I think this is Elizabeth, right? We can just shoot us an email and we'll get back to you.
We have a question here about references. Are references from electeds permissible?
Yeah, that's fine.
And this is a question about joint partnerships. If two churches partner, do they need to form a legal, official, or formal agreement?
I don't believe we would need a formal agreement for responding to the RFBI. But eventually, obviously, in any arrangement like this, they would need a formal agreement. They would, because they would need to lay out the roles of each entity, responsibility of each entity, and sharing of losses and gains and those things. But I think for the sake of this response, they would just note in the project description that they're forming a joint venture. But eventually, they're going to need to form. They're going to need to what's the word? Codify that relationship for any development of this nature.
Another question here is NHP Foundation is a nonprofit developer and are wondering how to get on this list to partner with any of the 10 faith-based organizations that are to be selected. Is there a way to get on this list from a developer's perspective?
I think we're gonna, again, when we go through step 1 and step 2, when we get step 3, we're gonna need a development partner. So I would think they would definitely give us their name, because when we get down to the end, we're gonna be issuing the RFP for a development partner, and we would like to have as many of those people as possible. So I would think they would just submit that information to us, and we would definitely keep track of it. And so, yes.
Yeah, so when the RFP goes out, developer, can apply, respond to the RFP for the master developer. So, anyone on this list, they will receive the information for that RFP. And I saw that William Shalady asked about if senior affordable qualifies. So yeah, senior affordable housing is definitely eligible, and they qualify for this process. We're doing affordable housing, so that's fine.
Can a housing property be obtained after MBOs are chosen?
We said earlier that you'd have ownership of the property at the time you're making the application.
If a faith-based organization is not delivering services, can they collaborate with a nonprofit to deliver these services?
I think we said earlier that if you need to find someone that was doing something we're not doing, I think that would be a good partnership with another entity. Yes, we said collaboration is good.
That appears to be most of the questions, if not all, in the Q&A, and I've also checked our chat box here to see if there are any additional questions. Yes, the session is being recorded, and a copy of the presentation along with the recording will be made available on the LISC website. On the live application, we have a link to the website where it will be made available. Another question here is Grace Church was in the process of developing 42 units in Harlem. The area was landmarked last year. Could LISC help with the design?
I think we said we're going to have the multiple steps. The first step, being 10, narrow it down to 3, and then we narrow down to that 3. We're going to be helping them with the concept. The concept would include obviously programming, designing, ensuring that the thing is consistent with zoning. So that would be part of the second step. So we will be providing technical assistance to assist with that to the group that make it to that point in the process.
Yeah, so the answer to Grace Church is yes.
I'm sorry, Monica. I can be a little wordy sometimes.
No, that's fine. I think the more information, the better. So we just want to make sure that, get into all these questions.
If a faith-based organization does not have housing in its certificate, can it agree that it will amend for such a purpose?
I think earlier we didn't say that you need to have housing in your certificate. I think we said that, we know that you're providing services. These could be community services. It could be a whole range of services. I think what we need you to do is when you fill out the application and you fill out that narrative description there, I think you would just make the link there and you would say something to the effect that here's what we've done in the past and here's how we make this leap from what we did to what we're doing. So we understand that many organizations are not involved in housing. So just explain to us that connectivity between what you've done in the past and the housing development that you wish to do.
If an organization is already working with a church, can they still participate in the LISC NILAB program?
I'm not quite sure I understand that question. The mission-driven organizations and faith-based organizations can participate. So if they're one of those organizational types, they can participate. I think that's the answer.
Who will be providing the technical assistance? Are these attorneys or these panel of attorneys to choose from?
Well, the process will work something like this. I will be assisting LISC, Direct White and Monica, and then we will be identifying attorneys and other expertise who have experience in this area, and then we'll be putting together that team to assist us with providing the technical assistance.
If LISC pays for the architect, can the FBO use its current developer, or does it have to use an RFP and identify another developer? Jimmy, Monica, do you need me to?
I can give a stab at that, but I think that one, I think we need to put in advance until we discuss that further, unless Monica wants to take a stab at it.
So is this from Jason?
Correct.
Hi, Jason. So if LISC pays for the architect, can the faith-based organization use its current developer, or does it have to use an RFP and identify another developer? I mean, I think so. For that, Jason, I think we'd have to definitely, explore that or work through that. I mean, depending on where folks are in the process, we don't necessarily want the organizations to be too far along in the process. And so the developer, if the developer has already been selected for the project, that seems like that's your question. And if that current developer would still have to respond to the RFP as part of this NILOP process. I think we can, I mean, I feel like we need to think about that. So I definitely don't feel comfortable saying yay or nay in its entirety right now. But we do, have a process for selecting the developer. So that's definitely a good question. Let us have, some conversations about that, and we can follow up with you on that afterwards, Jason. And so we, as part of this process, we do have some, LISC does have some, as Jimmy said, technical assistance. We, pay for some of the pre-development costs. And so that, could include, a range of different costs associated with the projects. And so again, we can follow up and get back to you on that, because I had another question too, asking specifically about what LISC, could the LISC capacity to pay for what types of pre-development costs associated with the project. So I hope that was helpful.
Is there a minimum number of units to be developed?
This has an overall goal, but for any particular individual respondent, the answer is no. But I think our goal overall, I believe, Monica, is 120 units, right?
180. We'd like to get
180,
at the end of this iteration of NILOP to have, to come out of this process to have developed up to at least 180 units. Now we can exceed that, but that is our goal. And so again, that goal can come from one project or multiple projects, again, from multiple organizations. We have the capacity to support and work with up to 3 different organizations in these different projects, and again, for us, the goal, is that we will have at least 180 units developed from this NILOP program.
Hopefully I'm interpreting this question correctly. The question appears to be, what can this 501c3 do if a developer wanted to remain with the project, the entirety of the project?
I think the way these things normally work out is that we're saying that maybe the mission-driven organization, the faith-based organization, may lack the financial capacity and the expertise to develop a project of this nature. So we would be looking for a development partner that had the financial capacity and experience to team with this organization. So that role is normally negotiated, but we would be looking for this our faith-based organization, missionary organization, to have a and to play a significant role in this venture. So that role can take various forms, but again, we're looking for a developer partner. So therefore, we're looking for the MDO or FBO to be a partner in the enterprise.
Would it be possible for the landmark status to be removed in order to increase the amount of affordable housing in a proposal that is already in progress?
I think that goes back to one of the things we said earlier about impediments. We talked about zoning and environmental. Put that landmark status in the same category. I guess that wouldn't be the ideal project, because if we were to be looking at all the projects and rating them vis-a-vis each other, we'd be looking for the project with the least amount of impediments, right? So again, the ideal project wouldn't be a project that we had to remove the landmark status. That would be my response, Monica.
I'll jump in here. The landmark in New York City is just a very difficult thing to address. I certainly think you should put your application in. That would be one of the things that the program would look at if in fact, your site was selected. Having owned the landmark building myself, I know in New York City that it is just very, very difficult to make those changes. But that being said, I think earlier in the presentation, liens, encumbrances were addressed, and it doesn't preclude the organization from putting in an application, but it may very well be something that is difficult to overcome. So put in your application, and that's something that, as part of technical assistance, the team will work with you on.
Okay, it appears that those are all of the questions in the Q&A. Oh, let's see. Okay, so that's a comment there. Any other questions for our panel? Can a project be built in?
Yeah, I'll just add for the person who apparently has a project in Peekskill, just email me at bwhite@lisc.org. Again, we have a number of programs where we invest in housing and community infrastructure. This particular program, this is one of several, right? We do lending through our CDFI. We have a Developers of Color program. We have stood up a couple of dedicated funds to address affordable housing. So this is only one of several programs that we have to invest in affordable housing. This particular one that we're talking about, the funder who's funding the program, their funder base is New York City. Nonetheless, we might be able to talk to you through one of our other programs about something in Peekskill. And yes, Ms. Tarver, the same thing, right? So I think I sent you my email. So I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. Again, send me your email if you have performas, budgets, and any other material on your project. Send it over. We'll take a look at it and see if it fits in one of our other programs.
Thanks for that, Valerie. Actually, I put my email in the chat as well. Do we have any additional questions? We want to make sure that we answered all of the questions.
Yeah, Monica, look like that is it.
Okay, so again, on behalf of LISC New York City, we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon to listen to this webinar, to hear about our New York Land Opportunity Program. And we are looking forward to your applications during the interim. Again, if you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us. The applications are due next week, April 26th. And again, we are looking forward to reviewing the applications and working with you all. So thank you for joining us. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.